Hi, everybody. Welcome to The New Normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today is WuJu Wednesday. So my buddy Public Awakening is joining us. We'll see him just on the other side of this break, and we're going to go over some things that we found in the latest National Defense Authorization Act for the fiscal year 2022. This has passed, let's see, it looks like it's checked all the boxes and is ready to go to the president to be signed. So pretty exciting stuff. And we'll be right back after this quick break. Give us a like, share this video, and subscribe if you're not already. Hey, Public, Merry Christmas to you and yours. How are you?
Merry Christmas. Oops, sorry, squished my water bottle. I'm always a water bottle squisher. Whenever it's like I can't help it. I'm like pour, crush, and it's just what I do. But Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all you guys and to all the fam out there joining us and those who will listen in the future.
That's
Much
right.
love to all.
Love and Happy New Year to all. We're just coming up on 2022 and had somebody on Twitter share a document. I believe it was Tanya Rose. And this was pretty exciting. They were concerned that that this was going to attack or be a concern to cryptocurrency. I looked over it and had no concerns myself for that, but did find a lot of other really interesting things in this. I read it for almost the whole 3.5 hour drive home from my mom's house. So, and I kept sending screenshots to you, as well as some other people. So I don't know if you wanted to jump right in. I do have some questions. I'm not really familiar with all of the language in some of this. One of the beginning statements that I found was the ending of the, let's see, where was it? They talked about the end. What was the wording that
it's the end of the world as we know it. It's
okay.
The end.
Well, let's start with this. This was a huge one. Okay, so we'll go into the military stuff later. But so climate, blah blah blah. Treatment of perfluoral whatever substances and this polyfluoroalkyl substance. So the treatment by the Department of Defense of this perfluoral, I don't even know how to say that.
Polyfluoroalkyl. Polyfluoroalkyl.
That's the second one. So I looked up this first, and there was a European study, and this is a substance that's added to drinking water or foods, and it lowers your immune system.
Just because.
So in this Defense Act, it says that they are going to have, there's going to be a treatment by the Department of Defense of these substances. It also talks about the extension of transfer of authority for funding of this study, assessment of health implications of these substances, and contamination in drinking water by Agency for Toxic Substances Disease and Registry, a temporary moratorium on incineration by the Department of Defense of these substances, and the aqueous film forming foam. The review and guidance regulating to prevention and mitigation of spills and aqueous film forming foam. public disclosure of the results of the Department of Defense testing of water for this perfluoralkyl or
I gotta look this up.
polyfluoralkyl substances. So, a review of the agreements with the non-department entities with respect to prevention and mitigation of spills of aqueous film-forming foam. Comptroller General studies on Department of Defense procurement of certain items containing these PFAS substances. Reporting on schedule for completion of remediation of these substances. And report on remediation of these substances at certain military installations. There will be public disclosure, once again, of the results of the Department of Defense testing of water for these substances. And there will be a treatment by the Department of Defense of these substances.
Very, very weird.
And this, once again, when I looked it up, copy, and just did a really simple search for it. And it came up with a couple of different what these do to your body. They have potential adverse health effects, including liver damage, thyroid disease, decreased fertility, highlighted high cholesterol, obesity, hormone suppression, and cancer. These chemicals easily migrate to the air, dust, foods, oil, and water.
So it basically sounds like this is like every disease that affects like the boomer population and what they're all coming into now, and all these same exact things. It's like, why? So strange. Like, including liver damage, thyroid disease, decreased fertility, high cholesterol, obesity, hormone suppression, and cancer. And it's just because? Wow.
Yeah, and when I read the one that was the European study, it affected your immune system.
Kind of sounds like a lot like the fluoride that's put in everything too. Does a lot of those same things. But so we got known to have that stuff, and now we known to have fluoride. And you know what another big one is that I remember reading about a while ago? The spray foam that they put on like runways for like fires and stuff like that.
Maybe that's what they're talking about in this aqueous foam in the document. This mitigation of aqueous film forming foam.
No, I don't think it's a film forming foam. I think this might be something else. This, you know what this almost sounds like? Something like Teflon, because we know how bad that stuff is, and that's why they coated all the cookware with it and stuff like that. And supposedly, like, it stays put.
Spills of aqueous film forming foam might be what you're talking about, though.
Could be. You know what? I will look up what the firefighting foam. Because I know that's really, really bad. I know that's one of the ones where like it goes in the water and it never, ever, ever comes out. They just have to try to mitigate your drinking of it.
So this is one of the things that are in this document that are going to be, a lot of things are righted in this document that are this really interesting. The other thing that I thought was really interesting is that you see a big.
Oh yeah, you know, I think you're right.
Is it?
Yeah, I think you're right. So the firefighter cancer lawsuits are tied together with the aqueous film forming foam.
Okay.
AFFF started in kind of 1960s. They started using it. PFAS chemicals that have made their way into military bases, installations nationwide around the globe because of widely used firefighting foam that contains these toxic chemicals. Basically, it's given all the firefighters that use cancer.
And so in this document, they're also talking about support for veterans. And I mean, it's pretty incredible. So I went through it. Let's see if we can go through some more of this. Military manpower. Okay, aviation. They're also talking about transferring power. They talk about transferring property. That was one of the things that I sent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this end strengths. If there's any military in the comments, if you guys can help us out with this. This was the language that I didn't understand what end strengths means. Says it's talking about reserve forces and active forces. So it's talking about military authorization. And this is where I think they're starting to talk about here, and they continue talking about kind of transferring. It sounds like from active, like military, to more like reserves and National Guard. Document. So it says end strengths for active forces. Revisions in permanent active duty end strength minimum levels. Additional authority to vary Space Force end strength. And then it says reserve forces. End strengths for selected reserve. End strengths for reserves on active duty support of the reserves. End strengths for military technicians, dual status. Maximum number of reserve personnel authorized to be active duty for operational support. Accounting of reserve component members performing active duty or full-time National Guard duty towards authorized end strengths.
I think the end strength is the which is higher
Is
than
that like maximum number of people
per year. I think it might have something
year?
to do with with the people enlisted in said branch of the military by the end of the fiscal year. It's talking about the example it gives here is the Army National Guard ended fiscal 2021 with 333,000 soldiers, which is also higher than its goal of 336,000. The Army Reserve's end strength was 184,000. 300, right. The Army Reserve's end strength was 184,000, which was short of its goal of 189,000. So I think it's maybe the amount of soldiers or people enlisted in a said
military.
Yeah, there you go.
Required military needed in each group. Okay.
There you go.
End strength for active. So are they saying they're saying they need to revise permanent active duty end strength minimum levels? So they're saying revise to minimum levels for active forces and end strength.
I don't know if two minimum levels. I read that as revisions in permanent active duty end strength minimum levels. So they're going to give a revision of the minimum amount that's needed. Assuming, I don't know that they want more than that. I don't feel that they want to lower it, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Part of the reason I feel like that transition might be happening is later in here. They're talking about, credit towards retirement, continue Space Force officers considered for promotion to Major General. Let's see. Reports on Air Force performing duties of nuclear missile operations. Okay, reserve component management. General service authorities, military records. Reduction in service commitment required for participation in career intermission program of military department. Why would they need a reduction in their service commitment?
If we're drawing down forces, that would be my only thought, right?
Improvement to military accessions in armed forces under jurisdiction of secretaries. Notice to program related to options for naturalization. Appeals to physical evaluation board for determinations of fitness for duty. Command oversight for military privatization housing as element for performance evaluations. Let's see, housing, enhancement to national mobilization exercises, temporary exemption from in-strength grade restrictions for Space Force, blah, blah, blah. Report on process and procedures for appeal of denial of status or benefits for failure to register for selective service. Study and report administration. Then it gets into special trial counsel, policies with respect to special trial counsel, definition of military magistrate, cover offense, special trial counsel, clarification relating to who may convene courts martial, detail of trial counsel, preliminary hearing, advice to convening authority before referral for trial, former jeopardy, plea agreements, determinations.
Oh no! Did you just read that comment?
No.
Read Ronnie's last comment. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that kind of struck me.
Oh, Ronnie.
I'm sorry, Ronnie.
She has had a hard Christmas.
Oh man,
hard season lately.
Sucks.
Yeah. We are thinking of you, girl.
The hell, man?
I know.
I don't even know what to say. Sorry, Ronnie. I'm so sorry. That sucks.
I know. Well, I think everybody in the community is thinking of you, and, that's the thing. Like, we all have to pull together and be thinking of each other and sending each other love and positive energy, and know that, there's going to be a lot of hard stuff that we're going to all have to, the community's going to have to be here for each other. And what Ronnie's going through right now, that's what we all need to be there for her. And Ronnie, we're glad that you're here with us.
1 second. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Hold on.
We're all going to be here for each other through this. For sure. So, if everybody can take a minute and just, definitely reach out and show Ronnie some love, we would appreciate that. So on this document, part of what, when they were talking about special trial and counsel, I have a friend that's former military that faced very significant sexual harassment. And I can tell you that it was not handled correctly in the military, and seeing this sexual harassment sentencing reform being put in there, and this being taken really seriously in the military, I think is a significant improvement and reform. Then they go into briefing, resource, other military justice, conduct, becoming an unbecoming of an officer. They're going into, other things, talking about sexual assault, sexual harassment, how that's going to be handled. Military Defense Council. Let's see. Combating foreign and malign influence. Let's see. Troop to teachers. Let's see. Allocation of authority. Then it's starting to talk about human relations training for certain members of the armed forces, allocation of authority for nominations to the military service academies in the event of the death, resignation, or expulsion from office of a member of Congress.
I like that.
Does that seem odd to you? Authority of president to appoint successors to members of the Board of Visitors of militaries of academies whose terms have expired. Meeting of the Board of Visitors of a military service academy. Then it goes on. Let's see. Concurrent use of Department of Defense tuition assistance, Montgomery GI Bill, relationships on parental guardianship rights of cadets and midshipmen. Parental guardianship rights of cadets. What? How would cadets be children? Why would they have parental guardianship? Does that make sense to you?
I'm sorry. I was kind of. Can you say that again?
No, that says regulation on certain parental guardianship rights of cadets and midshipmen. Why would someone have parental guardianship of a cadet? Would a cadet not be an adult?
Or I think you have to be 18 to join. So I don't know. Again, any military might. I don't know. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff you're reading here that makes no sense of how things are supposed to work in the old world.
Yeah, this is interesting. And this is talking about United States Naval Community College. Okay. Army tuitions, assistance, briefing on cadets and midshipmen with speech disorders. Okay. Military family readiness, dependence, education, expansion on support programs for special operations forces, personnel, immediate family members. And it goes on talking about employment, fellowship opportunities for spouses, blah, 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 engaging spouses. Okay. Reduction of gender-related inequities, cost of uniforms, blah, blah, study of... Okay. Decorations, awards, miscellaneous reports, other matters. Modified deadline for establishment of special purpose adjunct to the Army services for vocational aptitude battery tests, authorization for certain awards, establishment of the Atomic Veterans Commemorative Service Medal. Has anyone heard of the Atomic Veteran before?
I'm gonna look that up. Establishment of the Atomic Veterans Commemorative Service Medal.
All I'm thinking is when my dad, they used to take him out in the desert in Nevada and make him watch the bombs go off.
Can
Part
you
of the
imagine?
reason he has lung damage right now.
That's...
and he's a Korean War vet. So are they going to finally acknowledge that?
So what that is here is the
veterans.
It says here under atomicveteran.info. It's basically veterans cancer compensation. Atomic veterans receive $75,000. Nuclear testing participants between 1945 and 1962. Department of Energy workers who did the same thing get $400,000. So give our vets $75,000.
Who tried to tell me? Remember my friend that was sending me links telling me my dad should apply for stuff?
Yes. Oh, and that was before it was. Oh. Well.
Told you.
You didn't have to tell me. I agree.
I know.
Wow. And that was tied to possibly to the visitors that we had recently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So just a great example of how badly they've given it to our veterans. The veterans for the same thing receive $75,000. Uranium workers at the same time received $150,000. Department of Energy workers received $400,000. So shaft the veterans again. The Atomic Veterans Cancer Benefit Program. This government compensation program is intended to provide $75,000 for each claimant who was among the military personnel physically present at U.S. atmospheric nuclear testing locations during the relevant time periods and acquired a covered cancer. And there's a whole bunch of them. There's the Bikini Atoll, the Enuitak, I never heard that name, Enuitak Atoll, testing grounds, and among many others here. It's listing a whole bunch of different things here. Atomic Veterans Offspring. Wow. So apparently the children of atomic veterans, there's a program for that also. And that's childrenofatomicveterans.org. Unbelievable.
Wow.
And that's just...
Don't tell me things aren't happening.
I don't think anybody could say that anymore. Wow.
Okay. So compensation, other personal benefits, basic needs and allowance for members in service activity, active service in the armed forces, equal incentive pay for members, expansion of travel and transportation, repeal of expiring travel and transportation authorities, requirements in connection with suspension of retired pay, and retirement annuities, report on relationship between basic allowance for housing and size of military families, report on certain moving expenses for members of the armed forces, report on temporary lodging expenses and competitive housing markets, report on rental partnership, bonus and incentive pays, 1 year extension of certain expiring bonuses and special pay authorities, family and survivor benefits, extension of paid parental leave, bereavement leave for members of armed forces, travel and transportation allowance for family members to attend funeral and memorial services members, expansion of pilot program to provide financial care and assistance of members of armed forces for in-home child care pilot program on direct hire authority for spouses of members of the ununiformed, my brain is now still on that other.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
It happens.
Services locations outside the United States. Casualty assistance programming, reform, establishment of working group. Okay. Resale matters. And going into additional services, funds available for construction, repair, improvement, maintenance of commissioning of commissary stores. Okay, so then it gets into healthcare provisions. They want to include eating disorder treatments for certain members of the armed forces. They're going to have addition of preconception and prenatal carrier screening coverage, benefits under TRICARE, revisions to TRICARE, self-initiated referral process for mental health evaluation members of the armed forces, modification to pilot program on healthcare assistance, modification of the pilot program on receipt of non-generic prescription maintenance medications under TRICARE pharmacy, improvement of postpartum care for members of the armed forces. Then healthcare administration, there's tons of all of this great stuff.
Big changes happening.
A lot of changes. They're going into also wanting to track for what.
Mm-hmm. As Uncle Cliff says, stay open-minded because we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of this. So I wanted to get into, where is it?
Which, by the way, if y'all haven't seen the last Uncle Cliff vids on BitChute, they are fire. Especially the, which was the one, not the last one, but the one right before it. With Q something. Yeah. Hold on, I'll look it up quick. It is.
They also mentioned Burma several times in this document. If you're not aware what's going on in Burma, check it out. It's basically there was a coup in Burma, and it's very interesting to see what the what this policy's position is on that. Okay, then, so I'm not going to get into everything in this because you guys can go through this as well. Okay, where's the
If that's probably safe, right? If I could just show that right there. So check that out right there. That's the one that you want to see on BitChute from Uncle Cliff. I just think it's the most, not only one of the most real informative ones that I've read in a while that really hit home with me. It really, really lays things out well in a number of different ways, a number of different topics. It's just fire all the way.
And at the end, he says, what we talk about, how, when we're doing our decoding of the big guy, not the big guy, but of the boss, he says next time he's speaking, get out your little decoder rings or whatever, because basically he says he speaks very specifically, which is what we say, that, he's not just talking, or that he's actually speaking very intentionally and using words specifically. And that's why we do those things where we, like on Patreon, like we decoded that whole church message.
Yep. And this is one of the decoder rings that I think he was referencing. Yeah. You can see the address right there. So check that out.
Yeah. And so he was like, next time he talks, you guys get out your little decoder rings. And I think he might have been talking to us as well as other people, but it was pretty exciting. So, then on this one, I think this is significant where they're talking about relating to supply chain. Notice they are talking about prohibition on certain procurements from the Uyghur autonomous region. So once again, things are happening. There is action being taken.
That's one of the most persecuted groups on planet Earth at the moment.
Yeah. Let's see here. Where is it about? They're talking about employment transparency regarding individuals who perform work in the, PRC. Printed circuit board acquisition modifications. So you guys can read through some of that. Then they're talking about small business matters and appeals to eligibility of small business, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Looks like we're getting some whole bunch of different rules and rights written in. Almost kind of sounds like it could be interpreted as a return to some sort of real law. I'm just saying.
Yes. And small business, and then the Navy and Department of the Navy is involved in this.
You and I both know the Department of the Navy is in charge of a lot of big things that aren't on this world, and a lot of other things. They're the big daddy.
Pilot program to incentivize contracting with employee-owned businesses. That's the other thing. Once it gets into this, it starts talking about, and it very much gives a nod to engaging with the private sector for problem solving. When it talks about, we'll get there, but we still have to find the property thing, because they are transferring some bases. They're transferring property out of the military, and I don't know if that means they're giving it to the National Guard or to the local.
Well, if this giant downsizing is supposed to happen under constitutional law, they just won't need all of their bases and as many properties we have all around the world and all around other countries, because we don't belong there, and we're not going to be the police of the world anymore, and we have to start doing something with these properties that we own. And also my first thought went on the subcontracting out to smaller privately owned companies to do things. That's kind of getting a lot of the redundancy out, or getting the secret handshakes out, and the bribes and everything else. And you're actually letting the smart people get in, not the people who are, part of the club. So it all sounds really, really great.
Okay, so here's the other part. This is WuWu Wednesday, but this is general provisions on financial matters. A general transfer of authority. Remember the whole maritime law thing. Keep that in your mind as we go through this, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Revision on limitation of funding for combatant commander initiative fund. Who got a puppy that was playing on the beach today? And what was that puppy's name?
I didn't see.
I sent you the tweet.
Well, I was busy all day with my
I
family.
know. So Commander is Biden's new dog. Just saying.
Coincidence? There are none.
There are none. Subtitle B, counter drug activities. The extension of authorities to support a unified counter drug and counterterrorism campaign in Colombia. Authority for Joint Task Force to provide support to law enforcement agencies conducting counterterrorism activities, naval vessels, and shipyards. Now, in the whole maritime law thought, we are the vessels, and our birth certificates made us the vessel, right?
Yes, so because we are birthed, and the waters, and the this and the that. Yep.
Right.
All these nautical terms apply to humans.
Modification to annual naval vessel construction plan, improving oversight of Navy contracts for shipbuilding, conversion, repair. Okay, this isn't the one. There's one that
we need to get the naval shipbuilding under control, because we've heard about all those bad batches of steel that we've had being sent to us from places over in the East, which have basically put every one of our ships that we have at risk with cheap, brittle, poorly produced steel that could literally be like hit through with a hammer.
Okay.
That's important.
Availability for funds for retirement of or inactivation of guided missile cruisers, review of sustainment for key performance parameters, assessment of security, global maritime choke points, report on acquisition, delivery, use of mobile, inclusion of blah, 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 transfer, release. Okay, inclusion of. So this is a counterterrorism one.
Availability of funds for. Did you read that one? Availability of funds for removal or.
Extension of prohibition on use of funds for transfer or release of individual detained at the spa to certain countries. Extension of prohibition on use of funds for transfer of release of individuals detained at the spa. Extension of prohibition on use of funds to construct or modify facilities at the spa. So they're saying all of this does not apply to anyone or anything at the spa.
Interesting. This
is also an extension of prohibition of funds to close or relinquish control of the naval station at the spa. Report on medical care provided to detainees at the spa. The interesting that all this funds is going to be available to everyone except the spa. Congressional oversight of compensatory control measures, modification for military operations, provide space, military, welfare society, Army force, prohibition, use space as Posse Comitatus. I don't know what that means.
Posse Comitatus. I don't remember what it means, but I know it's Latin.
Prohibition on use of Navy, Marine Corps, and Space Force as. We got to Google that because I don't know what that means.
Posse Comitatus Act is a United States federal law signed on June 18th, 1878 by Rutherford B. Hayes. And then, of course, it doesn't actually. What is the purpose of the act? The law generally prevents the president from using the military as a domestic police force. The Posse Comitatus Act bars federal troops from participating in civilian law enforcement except when expressly authorized by law. Okay.
Okay.
It sounds like a giant drawdown, and they're literally listing all the ways that they're going to draw down the availability for things to be used as they shouldn't be being used.
Yeah. Limitation of use of funds pending compliance with certain statutory requirements. Navy coordination with Coast Guard and Space Force, but it amps up the Coast Guard and National Guard and Space Force with aircraft weapons, tactics, technique, organization, equipment of joint concern. Inclusion of support services for Gold Star families, quadrennial quality of life review.
It's curious how Space Force is the most recently created branch of the military. It's the new baby, in the schoolyard here, and it's going to be like boosted up and given authority over a lot of the other branches.
And public availability of semi-annual summaries of reports, extensions of reporting requirements, and military training between Department of Homeland Security and Department of Defense. Continuation of certain defense reporting, updated review of Air National Guard using Air Force. Let's see. Enhancement of existing authorities for using Air Force and Air National Guard modular airborne firefighting systems and other Department of Defense assets in fighting wildfires. So maybe they're going to expose that.
Because we know a lot of those wildfires, especially over in California, are said to be intentional. Just saying.
Yeah.
You ever see a house burn where only half burns exactly down the middle and then the other half isn't even singed?
Or all the trees are standing around it. And
right. Yeah, the cars are okay, but just the house is gone. It's like...
Yeah. Report on 2019 World Military Games. I think we talked about that.
I believe we did at some point.
Yeah. Report on oversight of Afghanistan. Study on report of Department of Defense excess personnel property program.
The reports on an oversight of Afghanistan could be interesting because we know where Poppy Bush got his name from, and we know where the poppies came from. And I'm just saying, maybe they're going to spill out some information on what happened there. That family's going down.
And how we left there, supposedly.
Yeah. Supposedly.
Yeah. Right. Assessment of requirements for and management of Army three-dimensional geospatial data, requirement review. Okay. Report on World War I and Korean War era Superfund facilities. Report on implementation.
Tom got that right. Yep.
Study on providing end-to-end electronic services for absent. Study on providing end-to-end electronic counting services for absent uniformed services counter peoples in locations with limited or immature postal service. Report on Air Force strategy for acquisition of combat rescue aircraft equipment.
Fun fact. Did y'all know that the United States Postal Service is one of the few branches of government that is not required to follow anything with the with that medication that they're forcing on everybody. They are not required to follow any of that stuff. It does not apply to the United States Postal Service.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the observance of National
Along with Congress. I'm just
Atomic Veterans Day in other matters. So we're going to have a modification for regional centers for security studies. We're going to have an improvement of transparency and congressional oversight of Civil Reserve Air Fleet. Once again, the observance of National Atomic Veterans Day.
Mm-hmm. Another mention.
National Museum of the Surface Navy. The Surface Navy?
Again, I'm Googling here.
Now we have different navies.
Does anybody know what the Surface Navy is? Let's see. What is
Authorization for a memorial for members of the armed forces killed in the attack on Hamid Karzai International Airport. Treatment of operational data from Afghanistan, responsibilities for national mobilization, independent assessment with respect to Arctic region. National Security Commissions on Emergency Biotechnology. Quarterly security briefings on Afghanistan. Quarterly. Wow. Transition of funding for non-conventional assisted recovery capabilities. Afghanistan War Commission Act of 2021. Commission on the National Defense Strategy. Did you find out what Navy, Surface Navy was?
So Surface Navy, I'm on history.navy.mil. And it says Surface Navy. The Surface Navy is the backbone of America's Navy and most capable surface force in the world. Since October 13th, 1775, the men and later the women of the Surface Navy have deployed around the globe. Beginning with the 6 original wooden-hulled, 3-masted heavy frigates. One of which the USS Constitution remains, the Surface Navy has utilized a myriad of platforms and propulsion for sails for nuclear power. And it kind of goes on a little bit. I'm trying to get a brief summary of exactly what it is.
Anyway, interesting. So we'll go on.
Never heard of it.
Civilian personnel matters. This gets interesting and brings up DARPA. So the amendment to diversity inclusion reporting modification gets into employ civilian faculty members at the Defense Institute of International Legal Studies.
What is a surface ship? I'm so confused.
What is a
Navy surface ship? Like, are they implying that there's other ships that aren't on the surface of the Earth? I mean, what is this? I
think they are.
I'm very confused about this. Anybody have any input on that? Like, they're literally. I from what I'm reading here, I kind of think it has to do with Navy on the surface of the Earth. And why are they making a distinction?
So there's more in here about the Navy as well. They're talking about, let's see, modification of, members, armed forces to positions in the Department of Defense. Let's see, repeal of 2-year probationary period. So they're removing 2-year probationary periods to make this stuff happen faster. Modification of DARPA personnel management authority to attract science and engineering experts. Expansion of rate of overtime pay authority for Department of Navy employees performing work overseas on naval vessels. Repeal of crediting amounts received against pay of federal employees or DC serving as member of National Guard of the District of Columbia. Wait, say that again. Repeal of crediting amounts received against pay of federal employee or DC employee serving as a member of the National Guard of DC. Repeal of crediting amounts received against pay. What does that mean? Repeal of crediting amounts received against pay. What does
Doesn't
that
make
mean?
sense to me.
Why would they be repealing crediting amounts? Like it's a different currency?
I can't make anything of that, to be honest. I'm writing it all down, though. I will have answers.
Treatment of hours worked under a qualified trade of time agreement. Let's see. Waive annual limitation on premium pay and aggregate limitation on pay for federal civil employees working overseas. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. Administrative support. I really want to, there's like so much in this. I really want to get through some of this stuff. You guys can go through a lot of this. There's just so much in here, but I wanted to get to, and then it goes into the Syria and Iraq. Yeah. Having report briefing on equipment and property, classified material that was destroyed or abandoned in the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Then, okay, goes into our relationship with Russia. Extension of Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, prohibition on availability of funds relating to sovereignty of the Russian Federation over Crimea, report on Russian influence operation and campaigns targeting military alliances and partnerships of which the United States is a member.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, extension and modification of Indo-Pacific Maritime Security Initiative, cooperating with Taiwan. So this goes into Taiwan and Vietnam. Okay, other matters relating to Europe and NATO. Okay, sense of Congress on North Atlantic Treaty, so NATO. Report on Armenian Azerbaijan conflict. Report on the state of United States Europe, including European Deterrence Initiative. U.S. Greek Interparliamentary Partnership, sense of Congress, funding for European recapitalization, blah, blah, blah. Then they go on to talk about all that. Australia, blah, blah, blah. Where is it where they talk about selling the bases? Annual report on nuclear test ban treaty sensors.
There is so much information
There's
here. You've
so much
literally
stuff
been
in this. I
scrolling
know.
for almost an hour.
I know. I'm
Wow.
And I haven't even got to everything that I wanted to talk about. I mean, we're just getting into military funds, cyberspace related matters. I mean, okay, taxonomy of cyberspace related cyber personnel.
What is the title of this document, Lisa? Ronnie's
It's
asking what exactly.
yeah,
is it?
it's the National Defense Authorization Act
Okay.
for fiscal year 2022, or the
The NDAA, right?
NDAA, yeah. And it's the S1605 if you're looking for it on congress.gov. And
Thank you, Tom.
It's passed everything. It's ready to go to the president for signature.
I wonder which president it's going to go to.
You know what I think.
I know, yeah. I mean, well, listen, it's already kind of been proven that the sleepy one does not have the keys to and does not have the football and isn't allowed to go inside that big white house that's over there in DC. They got to do all their filming for their little studio stuff in the building in the back of the property.
Okay, then it gets space. I'll just go over the big stuff. Space, nuclear forces, participation in the United States Strategic Command exercises, blah, blah, blah. Then it goes into B-12, missile defense, other matters, study by public interest, protection of major range test facilities, technical amendments, defense, military construction authorizations. Is this one? No. Army construction, land acquisitions. Okay. Then additional authority to carry out fiscal year 2018 project at Fort Bliss, Texas. Not sure what's going on there, but somebody might check that out. Authorized Army construction land acquisition projects, modification of authority to carry out fiscal 2021 project, additional funding for certain projects, blah, blah, blah. Navy construction, land acquisition. Then it goes into Air Force military construction projects for 2017 for Air Force and Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida. Defense agencies. Where's international? Blah, blah, blah. Republic of Korea funded construction projects and Republic of Poland funded construction projects. Then this goes into authorization. Then it goes all into Army National Guard construction, Army Reserve construction, authorized Navy, Army National Guard, Air Force. So it's all Navy, National Guard, Army Reserve, Navy Reserve,
Marine Corps Reserve.
Yeah. So it's the
Air
reserve.
National Guard, Air Force Reserves. Wow, yeah. Look at that.
See what I'm saying? How this, it's a transition of power in the military too, I believe. And then it starts talking about this land transfer, base realignment and closure activities, conditions of certain portion of Pueblo Chemical Depot and Chemical Agent Destruction Pilot Plant, Colorado. Prohibition, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just getting good. Continuation of housing, blah, blah, blah. There's one in here where land conveyance. Okay, now this is where they start doing land conveyance. And this is where I was like, doesn't that mean they gave this land to someone else? So there's been land conveyance, modified restrictions of use from former Navy property conveyed to the University of California, San Diego. And that one statement. Then land conveyance, Joint Base Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Land conveyance, St. Joseph, Missouri. Land conveyance, Department of Defense Excess Property, St. Louis, Missouri. Land conveyance, Marine Corps Air Station, Cherry Point, North Carolina. Land conveyance, Naval Air Station, Oceana, Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's CIA. Virginia Beach, Virginia. Land conveyance, Naval Air Station, Oceana, Virginia Beach, Virginia. School Board of City of Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's the farm.
I mean, I'm going to research some of these sites and see. Yeah. Wow. This is crazy.
This is crazy.
This is really crazy. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
I'm telling you. Okay, wait. Where's who vacations in Hawaii where they close down all the whole people in Hawaii get mad when he vacations there because nobody can fly in or out and all this. So annual congressional briefing on the renewal of Department of Defense easements on leases of land in Hawaii. And look how they have it spelled with the I separate. Hawaii military land use, military land use master plan. That's Obama's private vacay spot.
Yoink.
Clarification. And installation maintenance requirements. Fire extinguishers and facilities, blah, blah, blah. Then they get boring. Start talking about fire extinguishers. So then blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
somebody's got to put the fire out, right?
I guess. Plutonium pits. I don't know. And then they go on talking about more stuff. Funds to recover, reconvert, or retire warheads, blah, blah, blah. Other matters. These other matters, if you guys look through these, really interesting, typically really interesting stuff on the other matters. Goes into naval petroleum reserves. Oh,
Nancy Icenan had a good comment. Her last comment, if you just want to put that, there's a little bit of reference there.
okay. Oh, yeah. That one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There was another one. I got to find it. Where did it say? Remember, it said global bulk fuel distribution. I don't know if you were able to see that when I sent it to you. It was one of the last things I sent you.
I don't remember. There's a lot.
Global.
I will look.
I know, 3.5 hours of me going through this. Oh, Barry Goldwater scholarship. You guys look up who Barry Goldwater is. Look up who Barry Goldwater is.
Who is the senator I just sent you? Somebody just passed away.
Reed.
Oh yeah, Harry.
He's a bad dude.
Mm-hmm. Did he pass away, or is this another announcement? And there's going to be dog pictures coming up.
Yeah, I think there already were. And Obama wrote him a really sweet love story. Yeah. This had, I got to be getting close. Oh, human rights awareness for American athletic delegations, matters relating to foreign affairs, cooperation between the U.S. and Ukraine regarding titanium industry, updates on national strategy for combating terrorists and other illicit financing. This is really supporting democracy in Burma. United States grand strategy with respect to China.
China.
I mean, this is huge, you guys.
There's so much here to go into. It would take. I mean,
I know,
you just got to pick a little piece and go in.
To
but
show
this
everybody the
crazy.
majority of. Okay, special guerrilla units. Chief Capital National Global War on Terrorism. National Global War on Terrorism Memorial. Okay, that'll be an education thing for people. This Catawba Indian Nation lands. That's another thing. Look that up. Catawba. Sorry.
That's a grape. That's a wine. That's New York State. So that I do know.
Well, that's not a wine. It's an Indian nation, but look it up.
Yes, but it's also a wine. It's from the Catawba grape. It's the pink Catawba wine. It's very sweet and delicious.
But it's named after an Indian.
Yes, I know. Okay. They get it first.
Yeah, they get it first.
It's delicious.
Where is the Air Force?
Multi-year procurement for Apache helicopters. I mean, there's just.
I'm trying to find them.
Subtitle C, Navy programs. Look at that.
Army programs.
It sounds like a drawdown. I mean, what else can it be? It's not only a drawdown, but they're saying how they're going to draw stuff down. I mean,
and then it
crazy.
goes, but it's a transfer of power.
Yeah.
And it goes to, and then it's going to the reserves and to our National Guard. And
see, I'm not up that much on land transfers, but when have we even heard that the military is just transferring their land away to something else?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that happens very often. I could be wrong.
And the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Corn.
The corn is popped.
Yeah.
There's just,
find it now.
I'm truly blown away how much this is. And looking at the screen here, you're only like this far down, like the little cursor is like this far down on the side, and it's still got like the whole page to go.
I know.
Look at that.
Well, so
You hit up a lot of good things.
I
here.
know we'll do more another time, but I just wanted everybody to see this. But there's one of them, one of the screenshots I took said global fuel distribution.
Mhm.
Why would we be responsible for global fuel distribution unless it's free to everyone? Unless we just turn the pipe on that goes everywhere. Conforming repeal section.
Or what
on
kind of fuel are
McCain.
they talking about? Are they necessarily talking about oil fuels, or are they talking about some other type of fuel?
I don't know.
We know how they like to throw
And
words in there.
you know who McCain was a bad dude, and they're changing this whole Defense Act. They're rewriting parts of that, striking words, blah blah blah, all that. To increase the number of university research to the Department of Defense, long-term growth, program activities.
Well, y'all got some homework to do tonight.
Competitive grant.
Enjoy your time off from work if you have it, and time with the family, and keep scrolling through these documents. It's like, I mean, I've looked at these things before, but I don't remember anything like this.
Electric propulsion motor, other propulsion drivetrain components, main propulsion system, electric generation distribution systems, machinery control systems, power control modules, test objectives. The test program required by subsection shall include at a minimum the following test objectives demonstrated across the full range engineering power plant operations for the destroyer class of that. So, I mean, simulation, a full range of electrical demands to enable the investigation load dynamics between the whole mechanical completion date. The Secretary of Navy shall complete the test program by subsection not later than the delivery date of the ship. Blah, blah. Wonder what they're doing there. Thornberry National Defense Act for fiscal year 2021. Okay. Well, anyway.
Wow.
So pretty exciting stuff. Copy.
It doesn't seem to ever end. It just doesn't seem to end.
I got through most of it. I apologize. I couldn't find that one last piece I was trying to find, but about the, I know.
Check out the comments. Lisa just posted a link to the documents that we're discussing here.
Yeah, and I'll put it in the description as well. Anyway.
That she's discussing here. I'm just looking like a child on Christmas.
No, I need your feedback on all of it. Like,
this is really,
I'm just kind of like blown away a little bit by some of it, and I'm excited about it because when people say, "Oh, nothing's happening,"
yeah, right. I am blown away by this. So this reminds me again of a quote that I wanted to throw back from one of Uncle Cliff's last videos, and he quoted it from some ancient text, and it said, "Universe provides and guides my eyes to see, my voice to say how wondrous is each day." So we have the ability to look at things and interpret them and keep our minds open, and realize that we don't know what we don't know. And there's a lot of information out there. There's more information kind of coming in each day, and things seem to be changing. I mean, they really do. And this gives certainly me a lot of hope, and I hope gives a lot of other people here hope as to the way things are going, and the way things are going to be. I mentioned Uncle Cliff's latest, the second to last video on BitChute, and I really recommend everybody can go check that out. it's just it ties into a lot of what we're talking about here, and gives a much more concise view about the state of affairs.
Yeah, and trust
And brought me a
yourself.
lot of hope. Yeah, brought me a
Yeah,
lot of
when
hope.
you're reading stuff and you're hearing things, really tune into what the language is, what you guys are hearing, what the words are. You know, I feel like our community really understands what's going on and what's being said and what's not being said. And I just want everybody to be encouraged in that as well. So, um, I think we're all standing together and we're patriots. And like, I don't know if it was Conspiracy Bot or if it was Uncle Cliff or who it was, but remember, this is not about. But maybe it might have been Robert Kennedy. But stop saying Republican and Democrat, say American. That's who we are, and that we're standing together in this, and we're standing for our country, and that's how we're going to get through this, and that's how we're seeing these things together, and that's what we're doing, is sharing the truth with each other. So,
Yep. Raising the
really
vibrations,
yeah.
sticking together, raising the collective vibration, giving support to a lot of us who may feel like we were let down, or, speaking in these different puzzles and, riddles can be frustrating. It can lead you to doubt yourself. But when we have a group of people and a family who can sit down and discuss these crazy topics and these crazy ideas in a way that is real, and bringing it to light and sharing, and part of this woo world that we're moving into now, is grasping onto the abnormal, grasping onto the out there theories, and realizing that maybe a lot of stuff that we were brought up with and that we understand as fact are just simply not. And it's all part of the show. That this show started before the last 5 years. This show started decades ago.
Yeah.
And it's how the movie's ending, and which actors are involved now. There's a lot to these things that aren't as apparent and transparent to the naked eye, and you have to look at it with a little bit of a lens, and interpret things and feel your way through. Trust your gut.
That was one of the other things we were going to talk about that we obviously didn't have time for, really, but the just the fact that I had somebody sent me a thing saying that, try to share it. Let's see. Talking about, and hopefully I can find it, that our current flag is actually a war flag.
Mm-hmm.
And that America has been, and I asked my dad this, I was like, so I sent him this link, and I was like, can you think of, has America always been in war? And he's like, as long as I've been alive, and he's 90. And so then they sent me this, and the difference between the war flag and the peace flag. And I guess these are military flags. This is the civil flag, or the peace flag, and it's only used to be used in times of peace, when the country is under a kind of military operation. And it says the last time this flag was used was before the Civil War. And so maybe we'll see this peace flag again. That's kind of my hope.
This I totally forgot about that vertical flag, and it reminds me of something I saw when I first started diving into the 17th letter stuff. I started maybe 2 months after it came out, and that was one of the things that they kept posting and said, this is going to be our new flag. This is going to be our new flag.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And this was a while ago.
You've heard that and seen that before. See, I've
seen that flag before. Yes. And that was, they said, the Constitution is going to change and everything's going to be different, and we're going to have a new flag. And well, there you go. that certainly could be it. I forget the significance of the white stars with the blue background versus the blue stars with the white background. I know there's significance to all this. I don't remember what they were.
Dark to light.
Yep. But if that, there you go. And
Wow.
also, which kind of just, maybe it's not connected at all, but any of the new currency designs that seem to be floating around the internet, if you notice, they're all vertical as well. So maybe
You're right.
maybe this could be something.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's brought some hope for everybody, and we'll see. Only 30 stars, Nan says. Interesting.
Oh.
There
Okay.
may be some merging of states. I know there's
Well, there's a lot of talk of states seceding, so
there
what's
are
up with that?
talk of states seceding, and there's also talking of there were was it Sean talking about how one of his buddies was saying like, oh yeah, here locally everyone's talking about how, you know, this state and this state want to leave, or this
Yeah.
city and this city want to leave, you know, Washington because Portland's so crazy, or, you know,
Mhm.
parts of Illinois want to leave because Chicago's so nuts, or, you know, whatever. Or, you know, I could see, you know, Oklahoma's very like-minded with Texas. You know, I don't know.
Florida also. Florida's supposed to be a hot contender for that also. I think it was Jim
Yeah.
Montgomery was mentioning that when we met up in Florida. He was saying, yeah, there's a lot of talk about that now, and he was speaking of it very matter-of-factly. So yeah, I mean, that could be. That
Who
certainly
knows
could
what
be.
that looks like. Yeah. Very interesting.
Very
Well,
cool.
we shall see. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, public. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Smash the like, smash the subscribe if you haven't. Please share this video so we can help get our word out. And that would be really awesome. And I sure do appreciate it, as Pimpy says.
Yeah. And once again, Ronnie, we're all with you, and sending you our love for your family, and prayers of peace with you. And we know that that you are together with your family forever, that we're all gonna get through this and be on the other side together in this fight. So
absolutely.
Sending you all our love, Miss Ronnie.
Amen.
Are you buying and selling cryptos on the same laptop that you're using to browse the internet, read your email, and visit social media sites? If so, you're exposing your cryptos to theft. Whenever you're online, you're at risk of getting hacked and having your identity stolen. How would you feel if someone stole all of your cryptos? What would that do to your finances? Guard your cryptos with a safe and secure laptop from Calyx Solutions. Each laptop is set up just for you and your cryptos, and then we walk you through exactly how it works. Don't risk the security of your cryptos. Order a crypto laptop from Calyx Solutions now to secure your crypto future. Learn more at calyxsolutions.io.